My world shattered when I found the adoption brochures hidden under my wife's sketchbook. Jessica and I met in our sophomore year at UCLA. I was an engineering student buried in textbooks. She was a philosophy major who spent her afternoons painting in the campus gardens. We were opposites that fit perfectly. She was thoughtful, sometimes melancholic, but with a sharp wit that could make me laugh until my sides hurt. We talked about everything: art, existentialism, our fears, our dreams. One topic that came up early was children. Over coffee one rainy afternoon, she told me she'd never felt a maternal pull. "I don't think I'm built for it, David," she'd said, stirring her latte. "The noise, the constant need, it seems like a beautiful prison." I'd felt a faint twinge of disappointment. I'd always pictured a family vaguely, someday, but my love for her was so immense it eclipsed everything else. I told her I didn't need kids to be happy. I needed her. We married the summer after graduation, in a small ceremony by the Pacific. Life was simple and full of promise. My career as a structural engineer took off quickly. The job demanded a lot. I was responsible for project sites up and down the coast, which meant being away for a solid week every month. The rest of the time, I worked a standard 8 to 6 schedule. It was grueling, but it provided very well. We bought a comfortable house in Santa Barbara, never worrying about money. Jessica taught art at a private school for a few years, but grew to despise the administrative grind. When she got pregnant 6 years ago, a failure of her birth control pill, we were both stunned. I held her hands and promised I would support whatever decision she made. She scheduled an abortion. The night before the procedure, she lay awake beside me, her back rigid. In the morning, she looked at me with red-rimmed eyes and whispered, "I can't do it. Let's try to be parents." The fear in her voice was palpable, but so was her resolve. Our first daughter, Lily, was born. Jessica threw herself into motherhood with an intensity that surprised me. She read every book, curated organic baby food, and filled notebooks with Lily's milestones. She seemed not exactly joyful, but fiercely dedicated. When Lily turned 2, Jessica was the one who broached the subject of a second child. "I want her to have a sibling," she said one evening. "I don't want her to be alone like I was." So, our second daughter, Sophia, arrived. They are now 5 and 3. Lily is quietly observant, loves puzzles and building elaborate cities with her blocks. Sophia's all sunshine and wild laughter, a whirlwind of curls and energy. They are, by any measure, wonderful children, well-mannered, bright, affectionate. For the past 8 months, I'd felt a slow, cold shift in our home. Jessica, who had been the orchestrator of our domestic life, began to retreat. When I was home, she would vanish into her studio, the converted garage where she kept her canvases and oils, a space the girls were never allowed to enter. The rules became stricter. "Don't bother Mommy when she's working," she'd tell them, her voice flat. More and more, the care of the girls fell to me during my hours at home. I didn't mind. I cherished the time, but it was the nature of her disengagement that chilled me. She'd look through them as if they were ghosts. If they cried, she'd flinch. If they asked for a hug, she'd pat their heads awkwardly and turn away. "Are you okay?" I'd ask night after night. "You seem distant." "I'm just tired," she'd always reply, forcing a smile. "The girls are a lot. It's fine." We still had our routines. We had date nights every other Friday, my mother happily taking the girls. We were affectionate, though our intimacy had become quieter, less frequent. Jessica had a life outside the home. She took a pottery class, met friends for lunch. The girls were in a wonderful preschool 4 days a week. She wasn't trapped. She had ample time for herself. That's what made the change so confusing. It wasn't burnout. It was a fundamental vanishing. The dam broke on a Thursday night. The girls were asleep, their bedtime stories still lingering in the air. Jessica poured us 2 glasses of wine and led me to the living room sofa. She started talking about our early days, the impulsive road trip to Portland, the terrible apartment with the leaky faucet we nicknamed Old Faithful, the way we'd stay up all night talking about nothing and everything. She was luminous, her old self, and my heart unclenched. I thought maybe the difficult phase was passing. We were so free, David, she sighed, leaning her head on my shoulder. Remember? No responsibilities. We could just be. I miss that. We can still have adventures, I said, kissing her hair. The girls are getting bigger. We can take them camping, show them the world. She went very still. Then she pulled away, her eyes fixed on the dark window. What if we could have that freedom back? For good. A cold trickle of dread started in my chest. What are you saying, Jess? It took nearly 20 minutes of gentle, then firm, prodding. She twisted her hands in her lap, her words coming in fragmented whispers. I made a mistake. I'm not who they need. I'm drowning in a life I never wanted. Then louder, a guttural cry that seemed ripped from her soul. I don't love them. I never did. I tried, God, I tried, but it's not there. The words hung in the air like poison. I couldn't breathe. She was sobbing now, ugly, heaving sobs. When she finally caught her breath, her face was eerily calm, wiped clean of emotion. She started speaking in a rapid, clinical monotone. I've been researching. There are agencies, good ones. There are families who desperately want children, who would cherish them. We could give them that gift. We could give ourselves that gift. Imagine it, David. Our house quiet again. Our time our own. We could travel, reconnect. We could be us again. I've already spoken to one agency. They were very understanding. I felt disembodied. This couldn't be my Jessica, the woman who painted watercolors of our daughter's profiles, who had sewn Lily's Halloween costume last year. This was a stranger calmly discussing the disposal of our children, as if they were furniture that no longer fit the room. I said nothing. I let her talk until she ran out of words, until she stood up, kissed my forehead as if in a trance, and said, "Just think about it, please." Then she went to our bedroom and closed the door. The silence she left behind was deafening. I moved on autopilot. I walked into the girls' shared room, with its universe-themed wallpaper and stuffed animals piled in a corner. Lily was curled around her favorite elephant. Sophia was sprawled starfish style, her little fingers still clutching a board book. My heart, which had felt frozen, cracked open with a ferocious, primal love. My children. I packed 2 suit frames with their clothes, favorite toys, blankets. I loaded them, still sleeping, into their car seats. I drove the 40 minutes to my mother's house in Ventura, my hands shaking on the wheel the entire way. I called my boss from her driveway at 1 a.m., my voice rough, telling him a family emergency would keep me out indefinitely. The next day was a blur of fear and resolution. My mother was horrified, clutching her chest as I told her what Jessica had said. "That's not her, David. That's an illness talking," she kept saying. But all I could see was a calculated look in Jessica's eyes as she talked about adoption agencies. My phone buzzed incessantly. Missed calls, texts that piled up unread. I couldn't face her words. I spent the day playing with my daughters and my moms, building block towers and coloring, their laughter a sharp contrast to the hollow fear in my gut. I had 2 paths. Call a lawyer to start divorce and custody proceedings, or call a mental health crisis team. The terrifying truth was, both might be necessary. Was she having a breakdown, or had she revealed a monstrous truth she'd hidden for years? The woman I loved had planned to give away our children without a single conversation with me. Trust was incinerated. After reading countless responses online, some blaming me for my work schedule, others recognizing profound danger, I knew I had to act. I secured a lawyer first. His advice was immediate. Do not return the children to the home. Document everything. Her statement about adoption are a severe threat to their welfare. Then, with my friend Patrick on standby, I drove back to our house. Jessica was waiting, a storm contained in human form. The second I walked in, she erupted. Where the hell have you been? You coward. You take the girls and just vanish? Are you with someone else? I knew it. The vitriol poured out, a 15-minute torrent of accusations and profanity. Not once did she ask about Lily and Sophia. It was as if they had ceased to exist. I cut through her rage. I took the girls to my mother's. After what you said about adopting them out, I don't believe they're safe with you. She blinked, her anger dissolving into genuine confusion. Wait, want to keep them? She asked, her voice small. Don't you love me? That was the moment any lingering doubt vanished. This wasn't just regret. This was a fractured reality. They are our children. I shouted, my own control snapping. Of course I want to keep them. What is wrong with you? The fight that followed was chaotic and ugly. I marched through the house, gathering passports, financial documents, my laptop, my grandfather's watch, while she screamed at me, throwing a vase that shattered against the wall. Patrick came in to try to mediate, and she hurled a heavy ceramic plate at his head, missing by inches. That's when I called 911. When the police arrived, she was beyond reason. She accused him of conspiring with me, and when one officer tried to calm her, she swung her fist, connecting with his jaw. As another officer moved to restrain her, she sank her teeth into his forearm. The sounds she made were not human. They cuffed her, and as they led her to the squad car, she looked back at me with absolute, chilling emptiness. She was taken to the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. I returned home, cleaned up the wreckage, and brought my daughters back. Their home was quieter now, haunted. They asked, "Where's Mommy?" And I used my mother's gentle lie. Mommy had to go on a trip to feel better. The words tasted like ash. In the following weeks, the clinical picture emerged. Jessica was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, currently in a severe psychotic and mixed episode. The grandiose idea of reclaiming a child-free life, the detachment, the aggression, all symptoms. Her psychiatrist explained that the hormonal shifts from pregnancies and childbirth could have triggered or severely exacerbated an underlying condition. Yet, a diagnosis, while explaining the how, did not erase the what. The what was her plan to unilaterally give away our daughters. The what was the look of blank non-recognition when she saw them. The what was the bite mark on a police officer's arm. My own father had battled severe mental illness, paranoid schizophrenia, throughout my childhood. I remember the terror of his rages, the instability, the broken promises. I swore I would never let my children live in that shadow. Jessica's parents became her advocates. She refused any contact with me, refusing to use our joint insurance until she had no other choice. I sent money to her parents for the uncovered medical costs. It was the last thread connecting us. We proceeded with divorce through our lawyers. She did not contest it. In the custody agreement, she requested no visitation, no shared custody. I pushed back, asking for at least supervised visits, for the girl's sake. Her response, relayed by her lawyer, was final. It's better for them if I'm not there. I can't be their mother. I begged for her to consider future birthdays, holidays. The answer was no. The illness, in its acute cruelty, had severed the maternal bond completely, perhaps permanently. Professionally, I negotiated a different role. No more week-long travel, a more predictable schedule. I hired a live-in nanny, Claire, a warm, capable woman in her 50s who brought stability and routine to our upended home. The girls adored her. Under her care, little details emerged. How Lily knew I'd make her own peanut butter sandwich because Mommy liked quiet. How Sophia would tiptoe past the studio door. The neglect had been deeper and longer than I'd known. Family therapy became our anchor. The girls drew pictures of a mommy-shaped blur. We used simple, honest language. Mommy's brain is very, very sick, and it makes her act in ways that are not safe or loving right now. She is getting medicine and help from doctors. We don't know when she will be better. But Daddy is here and Claire is here, and we love you more than anything in the universe. One afternoon, about 4 months after I'd found those brochures, I was tucking Sophia into bed. She stroked my cheek with her small hand and said, "Daddy, your eyes are wet." "I'm just happy I have you, sweet pea," I whispered. "Is Mommy ever coming back from her trip?" Lily asked from her bed, her voice steady. I took a deep breath, the truth settling on me. "I don't know, Lily bugged, but our family is right here in this room, and it is strong, and it is full of love." She nodded, a serious little gesture, and reached for my hand. "That's okay, Daddy." The finality of it is a quiet, daily ache. I grieve for the woman I married, who seems to have been lost to this illness. I am furious at the disease that stole my partner and my children's mother. But in our home now there is peace. There is block building and bedtime stories, bubble baths and scraped knees kissed. There is a love that is steadfast and present. The legal proceedings are over. Jessica continues her treatment in a facility 2 states away, funded partly by the money I still send. I hear through her parents that she is stable, but detached, focused on her own recovery. She has never asked for a picture, never sent a card. On a bright Saturday, I took the girls to the beach. They ran ahead of me, squealing as the cold Pacific foam touched their toes. I watched them, these 2 perfect, resilient souls, and felt the crushing weight lift just enough to let in the sunlight. We are not the family I envisioned. Our story is marked by a before and an after, a fracture that will never fully mend. But we are here. We are safe. We are loved. And for now, that is the only ending we need.